Despite art being my first and greatest love, and despite getting my first professional art job at 16 years old, I am not an art student, nor do I plan to professionally pursue it full time. Let's talk about it. In the background of the speed paint, I'll be redrawing my first ever piece of digital art. I made it when I was 11. I was drawing with nothing but a super busted up iPad and a dream. I started redrawing this piece every so often about a decade ago, but the last redraw I did was in 2019, 7 years ago. If you just jumped in your seat a little at the reminder that 2019 was 7 years ago, don't worry, I'm right there with you. When I did the first drawing, I was just having fun. In the latter two, I was already starting to worry about my future, because I saw that me, a 13-year-old, wasn't as good at art as the older teens I saw online getting admitted to art schools. I was always so sure I wouldn't have a future in art unless I was improving basically all the time. I was always frantically trying to keep up and desperately trying to keep better. I once spent a whole 3-week break trapped in my bedroom where I'd hardly leave my bed, literally not letting myself go outside or eat until I met my arbitrary drawing goal. And I used to dream about art school specifically. Like, yeah, I love the idea of a career in the arts, but as a teen and preteen, the idea of getting into and attending the art school of my dreams was basically the only reason I woke up every day. I took as few classes as I could in high school, and only the basic ones, even though I'd always been in advanced classes before. My teachers would take me aside and beg me to go to more advanced ones, but I'd refuse, slogging through the boring ones just so I had more time to focus on my art. Plus, I figured I wouldn't need the advanced or AP classes anyways. They weren't directly contributing to my art education. It didn't help that my high school had an English teacher as our only art teacher. We certainly didn't have any advanced or AP art classes. I'm emphasizing this point so much because I want to make it clear that this was not a, oh, maybe it'll happen, whatever, sort of thing for me. I was serious about it, and for most of my teen years, this was my life. It was all I would think about, all I could think about for years on end. I'm serious, you can ask anyone who knew me back then. Now, I have a bit more confidence in myself since I proved that people actually want my art in some capacity, but I've long abandoned the hope of making it into a prestigious art school, having the best education in 4 years of my life, and getting some nice job doing in-betweening at a studio until I'm 60. I'm a few years into my current schooling at a non-prestigious university that was reasonable enough for me to not have to take out student loans to attend. In a STEM-related field, it's really more in the business field, but this works better for the title, so hear me out. Now, why the hell did I do this? Do I just not really like art? Am I too lazy to do the hard work that art school requires? Am I just not creative or passionate enough? Well, no. Like, okay, you might think some of those things if you have a fairly negative opinion of me, but I don't think it's fair to assume any of those things of an artist who goes into a non-art related field, career or school-wise. There's 100 different reasons someone might not want to go to school for art, or might not want to do art as their full-time job. For instance, I decided not to go to art school for a few different reasons. One, I've been dealing with some pretty bad on and off hand pain that can't seem to be resolved by physical therapy or conventional surgeries. Bummer. 2, artists famously don't have very stable lives or careers. A lot of the field requires you to jump from project to project depending on what's available. There's very few of those sitting at a desk in a small studio until you're 60 jobs around, much less nowadays. Doesn't help that the animation field, which is what I wanted to pursue a career in back when I was still seriously thinking about art school, outsources a lot of production jobs to other countries for the sake of cost. Studios like Disney, Warner Bros., and Nickelodeon will keep its pre-production in-house, but any form of production, such as in-betweening or rendering, will be sent to places like Canada, South Korea, China, Australia, just to name a few. So that idea of doing in-betweening until I'm 60 wouldn't be an option in the current job market anyways, because I'm American. I need a visa to move, but I need work to get a visa, but I need a visa to work. You can see where this is going. And lastly, in most jobs, but especially in small industries like art and animation, you can't ever really land a job based on your skills alone. Most people have the skills to do the job, you really just have to network and know the right people in order to land those gigs. And predictably, I'm an introvert who tends to have very little faith in himself. I'm not very good at networking. There's also the job market to talk about in general. Studios have been shutting down, executives seem to only greenlight things that already have a fan base, and the convention and art market scene is more expensive than ever to get into, not even mentioning the AI capitalists who steal your art so they can pretend they could ever compete with you. Can you really blame someone for not wanting to get into it right now? If you go into another field like medicine, which I see a lot of artists going into, places will always need more skilled workers and technicians, and it seems to me like a pretty logical survival tactic. But then again, I have to be aware that there are people who are still pursuing art despite all these circumstances. So that begs the question, where do they fall in all this? Am I just smarter than them? Have I just made a better, more informed decision than they have? No! Despite all these circumstances that make it so I personally have a hard time justifying pursuing art as a career, it doesn't mean that I think those who put in the work are smarter or dumber than me, whatever those words even mean in this context. We are all just different people with different sets of goals, skills, and limits. Some artists are fantastic at socializing and marketing themselves, and I don't doubt that they'll do fantastic in the industry. Same thing with people making their own animated series or comics or whatever. I think the indie scene is thriving right now, and it's a great time to be that super self-motivated person. After all, I'd be a little bit of a hypocrite to say otherwise. I'm coming clean. I've misled you a little bit. Because despite all my problems with the field, I still work hard on developing my artistic skills. I still pay for community figure drawing and painting classes. Despite my major, I'm pursuing, and almost done with, a minor in art that allows me to get feedback from other artists on a regular basis. And I enjoy connecting with professors I really love, even though I know a studio art class at a state school won't necessarily get me a foot in the industry. I don't care, I like the process, and it's way more fun for me since I don't have to stress about how these things relate to my future. And I still run my art business. I still sell original art, make fan merch, do commissions, and hell, make YouTube videos. I still set up at conventions, honestly, still fairly regularly. I self-published my first comic this year and sold out all my copies at local shops and art markets. I have even more comic and anthology projects that'll be getting published by the end of the summer. I still enter into comic and illustration competitions and apply for local grants to contribute my art back into my community. Some could argue doing these things still makes me a person trying to pursue art, and I might even agree with them, depending on the day. I just find it more fulfilling to not tie it so directly to my career. And to speak on a broader subject, I think that having a variety of different experiences helps create interesting art more than almost anything else. I know people in the medical field who draw really realistic scenes of body horror. I know biologists who make stunning character designs, architects who make jaw-dropping environmental art. I know people who've never been classically trained, but who've lived the type of life you only hear about in stories. And it gives them such interesting perspectives that you can't help but be enraptured by their art. I'd be lying if I said it didn't make me sad, though. It makes me sad a lot. I get sad seeing people's disappointed looks when they learn I'm not going to school for art. I'm sad strangers and friends alike don't take me seriously as an artist just because I'm not paying $100,000 for a degree in it. I get sad when my classmates or professors in my painting or drawing classes tell me I should switch my major to art. I'm flattered by some of these things too, of course, but I get sad because I feel like I just can't. I get sad knowing without a doubt how thoroughly I'm disappointing my past self. That kid who sat in his room drawing for hours, working so hard at his craft for hope of his perfect future. I get sad knowing all the work and stress he put into it is essentially for nothing. I get sad for everyone else who's like me too. I see so many people who are pursuing a degree in something they really only tangentially care about because it's the only way out of harrowing life circumstances. And I get sad when they don't have enough time in the day to pursue their passion. I get sad that my close friends who love art as much as I do aren't able to take art classes like I am and have to focus solely on their degree or their job or any of the other million things that take up people's lives. I get sad about how many artists we lose every day because of the circumstances of life. Hell, I get sad seeing some of my friends who are in the industry have to take up second or third jobs on top of their industry careers just to make ends meet. I get sad seeing others who, like me, gave themselves irreparable injuries trying to pursue a passion that was never going to be sustainable for them. I get sad seeing how many passion projects lose steam every year because of budgetary or labor constraints. It's impossible not to get sad about it. I think this topic is a little too personal to each person to be summed up in a 10-minute YouTube video, but I think the answer for are you wasting your talent, no matter the circumstances, is almost always going to be a pretty resounding no. The thing is, people can't be narrowed down into one field or one trait like that. Humans are beautiful because we are complex and because we have choice every second of our lives. So, pursue a career in art or don't. Choose something else you like or something you don't like but will lead to a future you will. Make fun projects with your friends on the side, learn cool new skills, and take as many breaks as you need. There's a million different ways to live your life. You're just the only one who can live it. I hope that this was a helpful, informative video for people maybe. Big thanks to a lot of my friends who helped me out with this script, but in particular, my friend Madi, whose socials will be in the description. Definitely go and check her out. Her art is really cool. I really love her character designs. Big fan. Let me know how you feel about videos like this. I've been working on the scripts of several different ones, all about topics I've wanted to cover for a long time. I also thought about doing a quick behind the scenes video about both the things I wanted people to notice in the Die Your Daughter animatic, as well as explaining how I made it. So let me know if that's something you'd like to see. I figured with the upcoming release of Deltarune Chapter 5, better time than ever, you know? As always, I have my commissions open. They did get raised just a little bit just because I don't really have much time these days for commissions, so I apologize for that. But if you do still want something, I can definitely still get it to you on time. Speaking of Deltarune, I got some Deltarune things on my shop. Just figured I'd throw that in there. Why not? Bye.